have seen some of the, you might have purchased some of the brands of Procter and Gamble. There are, I think, more than 100 brands. You must be knowing Old Spice, you must be knowing Pantene, you must be knowing Tide, Vicks. Lot of brands we have. Procter and Gamble is one of the largest and amongst the fastest growing consumer goods companies in the world. So I think in India we have HUL is bigger than Procter and Gamble, but globally if you see, Procter and Gamble is I think bigger than HUL. You just find out comparison between HUL and Procter and Gamble. Procter and Gamble is also a very big company. Procter and Gamble touches and improves the lives of 4.4 billion people. That is 440 crore. 440 crore people are purchasing any product of the Procter and Gamble around the world with a portfolio of trusted quality brands. So Procter and Gamble is known for the quality. They have very good products. They have products superior than HUL's quality. Procter and Gamble has operations in about 80 countries. I think it is 180 countries. 180 countries and employs 1,27,000 people. So you can imagine the large scale operations of Procter and Gamble. 1,27,000 employees. It's not a small thing. It's a very big thing. It's a very big achievement. Company has $25 billion global brands and spend $2 billion annually on research and development. So Procter and Gamble is a $25 billion brand value brand. Its brand value is $25 billion, and they are spending $2 billion on research and development. $2 billion is very huge amount. Procter and Gamble's 50 leadership brands are some of the world's most well-known household names. So they have market leadership and they in various industries, and they have top 50 brands in their portfolio. Their top 50 brands are market leaders in that particular segment or in that particular industry. Procter and Gamble has total of 300 brands and serves 480 crores of people around the world. Procter and Gamble began in 1837, so very old company. I think 177-year-old company, more than 150 years old company. When brother-in-law William Procter and James Gamble formed small candle and soap company. So founders were William Procter and James Gamble. They were brother-in-law and they started small company of candle and soap company. Today, nobody will think that Procter and Gamble once upon a time, it was a candle manufacturing and soap manufacturing company. Procter and Gamble has very good brands they have most of their brands are in US and European countries. They have Crest toothpaste, then Duracell, Gillette, Head and Shoulder, then you must be knowing Olay, Old Spice, Oral-B, Pamper, Pantene, Vicks, Tide. These are some of the brands we have in India. And some of these brands have sales more than $1 billion. Many of their brands, they have sales more than $1 billion. Over the next 150 years, Procter and Gamble innovated and launched scores of revolutionary products with superior quality and value, including Ivory soap in 1882, Tide laundry detergent in 1946, Crest toothpaste with fluoride in 1955, Pamper disposable diapers in 1961. So company started in 1837. And over 150 years, next 150 years, Procter and Gamble innovated a lot of products. They also acquired a lot of products, but the important thing is they innovated, they created revolutionary products. That is an important thing. So they themselves have created a lot of brands, a lot of products they have launched. Out of these revolutionary products, significant products are Ivory soap. They launched in 1882. It is very famous soap. Then Tide detergent. They launched Tide detergent in 1946 in European countries and in USA. But in India, they launched in 2000. So after almost 54 years, they launched the Tide detergent in India. So they are, you can see that how careful they are about their brand image. They are launching the product at right time. They are not launching the product to just create profit. They are launching the product to create brand. They are very conscious about their brand. Their brand image should not be hampered. That's why they are taking a lot of care. That's why they launched the Tide detergent brand in 2000 in India, whereas they launched the Tide detergent brand in 1946 in the USA and in European country. Then Crest toothpaste with fluoride in 1955. Pampers, they launched in 1961, but again in India, they launched in 2006. So they are very careful about launching their brand. They do check that particular market. They do a lot of customer survey, and when they are sure, they are 100% sure that that product and that brand is going to be success, then only they are launching that particular product. So these are the brand: Ivory soap, Crest toothpaste, Tide detergent, and Pampers that we are talking about. These are the products which they have created, they have innovated. These are revolutionary products. The company also opened the door to new products categories by acquiring a number of companies. So they also believe in horizontal growth, horizontal integration. In horizontal integration, you acquire products and you grow. In vertical integration, you acquire either supplier or distributor, and then you grow vertically. But horizontally, you acquire your competitors' brand and you grow. So the company also opened the door to new products categories by acquiring number of companies, including Richardson Vicks, makers of personal care products like Pantene, Olay, and Vicks. So they acquired one company, Richardson Vicks, which was producing Pantene, Olay, and Vicks brands, products for products of these brands, and they acquired this company, and they nurtured these brands, and today these brands are market leaders. Norwich, then second company they acquired is Norwich Eaton Pharmaceutical. This company, Norwich Eaton Pharmaceutical Company, was making Pepto Bismol. It is like, I think for acidity, they are using that, like Gelosil we have. Then they have also acquired Gillette. They have also acquired Noxel, makers of Noxzema. And again, they have acquired few more brands like Old Spice, Max Factor, Lamb's Pet Food Company. And these three brands were belonging to Shelton Company. Today, Procter & Gamble is one of the most skillful marketers of the consumer packaged goods in the world and holds one of the most powerful portfolio of the trusted brands. So you can see they have very big portfolio. They have 300 brands in their portfolio. The company employs 121,000 people in about 80 countries worldwide, has $25 billion global brands, and spends more than $2 billion annually on research and development, and has total worldwide sales of $135 billion plus. So having $135 billion sales is very, very big achievement. Some of the countries, they don't have this much big economies that the revenue Procter & Gamble has. Customer knowledge. So what are the marketing strategies they are using? We are more interested in marketing strategies. So customer knowledge, they do a lot of surveys. They do understand customer first of all, and then they are launching the product. First of all, they are understanding customer segment, customer group. They are understanding needs, expectation, and requirement of the customers, and then they are launching their product. Procter & Gamble studies its customers, both the end customers and its trade partners, through continuous market research and intelligence gathering. So Procter & Gamble, they do a lot of research on the customers, research on various products, research on the markets, different markets, research on the competitors. So they are very good at research and development because they are spending a lot of amount. They have a lot of skilled people, and through the research, they are understanding customer, and that's why they have very good customer knowledge. And they also have huge experience. They have experience of more than 170 years. So that also adding their customer knowledge. They have launched a lot of products. They have failed in a lot of products. They have got success in a lot of products. These success and failures are also adding to their customer knowledge. It spends more than 100 million annually on more than 10,000 formal consumer research projects, and generates more than 30 lakhs customer contacts via email and phone number. So they are spending almost $10 million on the 10,000 projects, and through which they are understanding customer. And they are not only doing the project or research and development, they are also getting contacts. They are getting almost 30 lakhs contacts of the customers every year through email or the phone center. The company also encourages its marketers and researchers to be out in the field, interacting with the consumers and retailers in their home entertainment. So they are also motivating their employees, motivating their salespeople, motivating their sales manager, motivating their researchers to go out in the field, discuss the things with the customers, understand the customer, come out with some good information that we can utilize and launch the product. So this is the company which is motivating their salespeople, their employee, to do something creative. Long-term outlook. Procter & Gamble takes the time to analyze each opportunity carefully before acting. So they may take time. They will not. Procter & Gamble is a company which will not take decision immediately, haphazardly, in miss. They will carefully understand that particular opportunity. They will study all the angles. They will study all the factors which are influencing that particular opportunity. And if they can deliver above average quality, if they can deliver superior quality, then only they are going for that. Once committed, the company develops the best product possible and executes it with the determination to make it success. So first of all, they are taking a lot of time to decide whether they are going for this product or not, whether they are going to launch this product or not. And if they think that we should go for this product, then they are giving their 100%. Then they are taking lots of efforts. And we have one such example. For example, Procter & Gamble struggled with Pringles potato chips for almost a decade before achieving market success. So Pringle is a potato chips brand like Lay's, and they struggled 10 years, 1 decade they were struggling to get success in this product, but afterwards they got the success. So how much efforts they are taking once they think that they should be in that particular product. So once decided, they are taking 100% efforts to make that product a success. Recently, Procter & Gamble has increased its presence in developing markets by focusing on affordability, brand awareness, distribution through e-commerce, and high-frequency stores. So, what is their strategy? Uh, Producing producing products which are superior in quality, at least above average quality, and make it affordable to common people, make it affordable, especially to the middle class, because middle class is purchasing these products in large number. So affordability is one important focus they have. Then brand awareness. By selling various different products, by creating very good brands, they are increasing brand awareness through advertising, through marketing campaigns, to providing superior quality products. Then again, they are selling their products through e-commerce platforms. So they are now trying to sell their products through e-commerce platforms. So because the future is e-commerce, future is about advanced technology. So they want to sell their product through e-commerce platform. Then high frequency stores. They want their products to be sold through maximum number of stores, so that people should easily get their products. Then next strategy is product innovation. Procter & Gamble is an active product innovator. The company employs 1,000 scientists, science PhDs, more than Harvard, Berkeley, and MIT combined. So they are they are recruiting science PhDs, researchers, and applies for roughly 3,800 patents each year. This is very huge number. 3,800 patents every year they are applying. They have research scholars, they have PhD students, they have lot of people. They are working in their research and development department, and they are filing 3,800 patents. And every patent has a potential to launch new products. So this is the large scale operation they are doing in the research and development department. Part of its innovation process is to develop brands that offer new consumer benefit. Part of its innovation process is to develop brands that offer new consumer benefit. So they are not doing research for the sake of doing research. They are not doing just formality that we have to establish one department of research and development as per the government rules and regulation, and we have to show that we are doing it for the formality or getting superficial knowledge. They are not doing for that purpose. They are investing in research and development for launching new products, for helping customer, for giving customer benefits. Not only launching new products, they are also trying to increase product features of the existing products. So they are trying to improve the existing products in their research and development laboratory or in that department. So they are utilizing their research and development department 100%. Recent innovations that created entirely new categories include Febreze, an odor eliminating fabric spray. So Febreze is the product of continuous innovation. They have come up with the new product which were not there earlier, and competitors do follow Procter & Gamble. Procter & Gamble is the company who launches first the innovative products and other follows. Then the next product they have launched through innovation was Dryl, a product that helps dry clean clothes at home in dryer. So we may require a lot of time that we want to dry clean some of our clothes. So they have come up with the Dryl, which will help you to dry clean at home. Then Swiffer, a cleaning system that effectively removes dust, dirt, and hair from the floors. Larry Huston, former innovation officer at Procter & Gamble, stated Procter & Gamble is largely a branded science company. So you will see science everywhere. You will see science in various brands, in the functioning of the products. Then everywhere, if you go into Procter & Gamble organization, you will see a lot of things are based on the science. They do talk on the science. They do communicate science. They use the science to benefit the customers. They use the science to increase the quality of the products. So they have a lot of focus on the science. Then quality strategy. Procter & Gamble designs products above average quality and continuously improves and reformulates them. So they know that in FMCG sector, we have a lot of competition. We have competition from Himalaya, we have competition from Patanjali, we have competition from HUL, we have competition from various other companies which are there in the market, from local manufacturers. So they have to develop above average quality products. Then only customer will buy those products. If they are giving ordinary products at affordable price, then why people will buy their product? There are many other companies which are giving offers, which have a sales promotion program, and which are local brands. So they will prefer those brands. That's why Procter & Gamble is keeping above average quality so that people should prefer their brand first. When the company says new and improved, it means it. Whenever they are saying new and improved, they are not just saying to sell the product. They are not sell oriented company. They mean it. If it is written new and improved, it has to be improved better than the last product. Recent example includes Tide Pods, a compact laundry detergent tablet. So many times we do not understand for particular clothes how much detergent should be added in washing machine. So they have come up with the Tide Pod. So if you are keeping one cloth, you just add one Tide Pod. So like that, they have removed the confusion of the customers how much detergent we should add. So they have standardized that particular process. Pampers Rash Guard, a diaper that treats and prevents diaper rash. So there was a problem with these diapers for the babies that they are getting rashes. So parents were very concerned about using these products. So they have come up with the innovative product Pamper, which is preventing diaper rashes. Then improved 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner products like Pantene, Vidal's Session and Pert Plus. Brand extension strategy, next marketing strategy is brand extension strategy. Procter & Gamble produces its brands in several sizes and forms. Procter & Gamble produces its brands in several sizes and forms. You must be knowing that today, whenever we want to purchase shampoo, we generally go for 1 rupee shampoo, so that we come to know that how much we should use, and it is also very economical. So Procter & Gamble has a lot of sizes and lot of packages for their brands, so that poor people can also purchase those products, middle class people can also purchase those products. So many times poor people and middle class people, they will not buy the product because they are not available in small sachet or small package. So Procter & Gamble is very aware, very concerned about that. They have identified this problem and they are making available their products in many different sizes and shapes and packages. This strategy gains more shelf space and prevents competitors from moving in to satisfy unmet market needs. So poor people and middle class people, they want products in small sachet. So if they are not available for HUL and Procter & Gamble, they will go for the local manufacturer. Because local manufacturers, they will keep product in small sachet. And even for the retailer, it is very difficult to showcase, to display the large product. So that problem Procter & Gamble has solved by by manufacturing products, by packaging their products in different small sizes, several packages. Procter & Gamble also uses its strong brand names to launch new products with instant recognition and much less advertising outlay. So Procter & Gamble has very good brand equity, and they are using this brand equity for product line extension and brand extension. Product line extension means you are launching various different variants, various different models, various different varieties of that particular one product. And brand extension is when you are going into different category with the same brand. So suppose you have Maggi, then you are using that Maggi brand for masala also, and spices also, and for ketchup also, and for different segments. So that is brand extension. Also, we have product line extension. So they are using their brand equity for launching the products as well as for the brand extension. And by this they are saving the cost of advertising, and that cost saving is passed to the customers, so that customer can get affordable products. Mr. Clean, the brand Mr. Clean has been extended from household cleaner to bathroom cleaner and even car wash system. So there is a product which I think this is not available in India, but it is there in the US and European countries. Mr. Clean is household cleaning that it is, I think, detergent or something equipments they are using. They were using only for the household cleaning purpose. Then they extended this brand to bathroom cleaning, and then they extended this brand to the car wash. So this is the way. This is a very popular product. This is a very popular brand. So they are moving that brand from one category to another category, from another category to again one more category. Old Spice you must be knowing. Old Spice earlier was only limited to shaving products, and that too only for gents. Now Old Spice extended its brand from men's fragrance to deodorant. Now you will get Old Spice deodorant also. Often Procter & Gamble will leverage the technologies already in place to create brand extension. So Procter & Gamble has different departments, different segments. In those different segments, they are using different technologies. For detergent, they require different technology. For deodorant, they require different technology. For shaving products, they require different technologies. So they have different technologies in their different departments. Whenever they want to launch new product, they are using these technologies, these various technologies. It is very easy for them to get the technology from their various departments. They don't have to go out and search for that technology. because they are very big company, very big brand. They have various departments. They are into various different segments. So they are working on lot of different technologies. These technology, when they combine together and they are launching again new products. For example, when Crest successfully extended its brand into new tooth whitening system called Crest White Strip. So you must be knowing that many people are suffering from like they have yellow teeth. Their teeth are not white. So they have come up. They have tried everything, but it's not working. So Procter and Gamble has come up with the Crest White Strip. So you have to apply that white strip like you apply bandage, and immediately within short period of time, your teeth will become white. So for launching this product, launching Crest White Strip, they got technology from their laundry division, they got technology from their film technology department, and they got technology from their paper division. So for example, when Crest successfully extended its brand into new tooth whitening system called Crest White Strip, the company used bleaching methods from Procter and Gamble's laundry division, film technology from the food wrap division, and glue techniques from the paper division. So from three different departments, they use three different technology to launch one product, and that product is again a product line extension of Crest toothpaste. So they decided that we should go for the product line extension of Crest toothpaste to Crest White Strip. And for that product, they use different technologies from their different departments. So this is the benefit having this is the benefit if you are a very big brand. You have various different operations. The next strategy is multi-brand strategy. Procter & Gamble markets several brands in the same product category, such as Love and Pampers diapers. So Love is also a diaper, Pampers is also a diaper. Oral-B is also a toothpaste, and Crest is also a toothpaste. Though they are in the same category, though they have 2 to 3 products, they have 2 to 3 or multiple products in the same category, but they are not competing with each other. One may be a premium product, one may be for the mass people, one may be for the poor people, one may be for the rich people. So their brands are not competing with each other. It's cannibalizing is not happening. Cannibalizing is sales are affecting from their own brand. If Oral-B's sales is hampering from the Crest brand, and both belong to Procter and Gamble, so that is called cannibalizing. Your one product is acquiring the sales of your other product. That is called cannibalizing. So it's not happening with the Procter and Gamble because target group is totally different. Target group for Oral-B is totally different. Target group for Crest is totally different. Target group for Love's diaper is different, and target group for Pamper is totally different. Each brand meets a different consumer want and competes against specific competitor brands. So they have carefully designed their brands to compete with their competitor's brand, and they have also designed their brand carefully to serve the consumer need and want of different group of customer. So Oral-B is serving to different group of customer. Crest is serving to different group of customers, though they belong to one parent company, though they belong to one particular category, but their customer group which they are serving is totally different. So Crest toothpaste may be serving the premium customers. It may be for the rich people, and Oral-B brand may be for the middle class or the poor people. Like that, they are taking care. At the same time, the company is careful not to sell too many brands and recently reduced its vast array of products, sizes, flavors, and varieties to assemble a strong brand portfolio. So earlier, we used to have a lot of brands, hundreds of brands from the Procter and Gamble, but they came to know that it is very difficult to manage all these brands, and there is no point in running loss-making brands. So they discontinued all loss-making brands, and they kept only profit-making brands, and that's how they consolidated. They want to know for the success. They want to know for the good brand equity. They want to generate good brand equity. They don't want to get associated with the failure or the loss-making products, loss-making brands. The next strategy is strong sales force. Procter & Gamble sales force has been named one of the top 25 sales force by the Sales and Market Management magazine. So if you want to generate $135 billion sales, so you can imagine $135 billion sales if you want to generate, how many sales people you want to have. So their sales force is very large, and their sales force ranked among the top 25 sales force in the world. And they are also equally capable, they are also equally trained, they are also skillful in doing their task. A key to its success is the close ties its sales force forms with the retailers, notably Walmart. So through the Walmart, a lot of sale is happening. So Walmart is world's biggest retailer, and a lot of people are buying from the Walmart. So they have kept 150 salespersons team in Walmart, and they are checking the sales of Procter and Gamble happening through Walmart. They are checking the display. They are taking care of the offers. then sales promotion, advertisement, display activity, all these things they are managing. The 150-person team that serves the retail giant works closely with the Walmart to improve both the products that go to the stores and the process by which they get there. So there is 150 salespeople team, and they are managing the purchase, delivery, displaying, sales promotion activities, advertisement, everything. Manufacturing efficiency. Next marketing strategy is manufacturing efficiency and cost cutting. Procter & Gamble's reputation as a great marketing company is matched by its excellence as a manufacturing company. So they are very good at manufacturing, as they are generating 135 billion dollars sales. So they are getting economies of scale. They are producing product on the large scale. They are using Japanese technology like just-in-time, total quality management, continuous quality improvement, Kaizen technology, a lot of lean manufacturing. These technology they are using in their production, and they are improving their quality, and they are reducing the price. The company has successfully developed and continually improves its production operations, which keep costs among the lowest in the industry. As a result, it is able to offer reduced prices for its premium products. So Procter & Gamble has a strategy that you have to deliver good quality, premium quality products at affordable prices. So that is their strategy, and that is working for them. Now, brand management system. Procter & Gamble originated the brand management system in which one executive is responsible for each brand. Like we have studied in sales and management, that we have a product manager in each organization. If your organizational structure is product based, product management based, then you have product manager or brand manager. But the concept was developed by Procter & Gamble. Concept was implemented, executed by Procter & Gamble, that you should have one product manager for one particular product, so that you can understand your customer better, you can understand that product well, you can understand that brand well, and your people will become you will have expertise in that particular brand or product. Your sales force will have expertise in that particular brand or the product if you make your sales organizational structure product based. The system has been copied by many competitors, but not often with the Procter & Gamble success. So people try to copy Procter & Gamble, but they do not get the success because it requires a lot of efforts to implement those things. Recently, Procter & Gamble modified its general management structure so that category manager runs each brand category and has volume and profit responsibility. So not only they have created a product manager, they have also created category managers, like for oral care, for detergent, for soap. So different categories we have. So for different categories, there is a different category manager, and that category manager is taking care of all those things about that particular category. How many different products variants, how many different product lines they have, how many different varieties of products they have, how much sales they have to increase, and how many sales promotion they have to do, what all sales promotion they have to do, how to generate publicity, how to do advertising. All these things for that particular category will be done by that particular category manager. Although this new organization does not replace the brand management system, it helps to sharpen strategic focus on key consumer needs and competition in the category. So the category manager, what is his task is to understand consumer needs and to deliver. And he also taking care of the competition in that particular category. So they are giving a lot of authority, a lot of power to that category manager so that he can deal with that particular category as a separate organization or as a separate department. Procter & Gamble's accomplishment over the past 177 years have come from successfully managing the numerous factors that contribute to market leadership. So during these 177 years, Procter & Gamble has got a lot of failures, lot of successes. They have learned a lot. They have tried all the things they can, and now they have become a very big company. Now they have market leadership in many categories, many segments, many industries. Today, the company's wide range of the products are used by 4.8 billion people. So wide range, they have large range of products, and these products are used by 480 crores of people in 180 different countries. So today we have 203 or 204 countries. Out of that 180 countries, they have their operation in 180 countries. They have large customer base of 480 crore in 180 countries. Now there are three questions on this case study. The first question is Procter & Gamble's impressive portfolio includes some of the strongest brand names. Okay, Procter & Gamble's impressive portfolio includes some of the strongest brand names in the world. So you know that Gillette, Vicks, Tide, they have very good brands in their portfolio. What are some of the challenges associated with being market leader in so many different categories? So they have categories in shaving cream, they have categories in detergent, they have categories in a lot of different segments. So what are the challenges they are facing when there is an organization which is having market leadership in different segments? How do you deal with that? So the answer is increasing retailers dependence. So they are very much dependent on the retailer. So having 300 brands, if you have 300 brands, you cannot open your own retail outlets. So they are to sell these 300 brands. They are dependent on the retailer, and they are investing a lot of amount. So again, investing amount in distribution, on retailing, on wholesaling will create a lot of risk. So they are totally dependent on the retailer to distribute their products. And if some other company gives more margin to the retailer, they will sell their product. Suppose tomorrow Patanjali is giving more margin than Procter and Gamble, then retailer will sell. Retailer will try to push more Patanjali products than Procter and Gamble products. If you give more commission to the retailer, he will display more Patanjali products than Procter and Gamble products. Retailer will speak ill or bad of Procter and Gamble if they are getting more commission from Patanjali. So there is a problem. They are heavily dependent on the retailer for the sales. Increasing internal competition within the brand. So as you are growing, as you are having 300 brands, though companies saying their brands are not competing with each other, but customer do see their brand as competing with each other. Suppose Procter and Gamble has Crest toothpaste, and Procter and Gamble is also having Oral-B toothpaste. So the people may think that why should I buy the Crest toothpaste? I'll buy Oral-B toothpaste because it is affordable, it is cheaper, and the company manufacturing that particular product is same. So they may have same quality. So there is a competition happening within their brand. Then declining profits in FMCG market. So as many different companies are coming in this category, FMCG category, like we have Himalaya, we have FMCG, we have Patanjali, we have HUL, we have a lot of different companies that are entering into this category. So the market share is decreasing, the profit margin is decreasing, revenue is decreasing, sales is decreasing. This is simple rule. If you have a lot of competition, your market share will decrease. If your market share will decrease, your sales will decrease. If your sales will decrease, your profit margin will decrease. So competition and declining profit in FMCG markets is very big headache for the Procter and Gamble. Then brand dilution. If Procter and Gamble is launching so many products, and if some of their products is not working in that particular area, if some of the products is not performing to the expectation of the customers, then brand dilution may happen. People may think that this is a very common brand. So if you have 300 products in the market, so if you are watching Procter and Gamble everywhere, so brand recognition will be brand equity will decrease. Prioritizing market share over profits. So Procter and Gamble is always trying to get more market share. And if you want to get more market share, you have to sell the product at cheaper cost. If you want to sell the product at cheaper cost, you will reduce on your profit margin. So as the market share will increase, the profit margin will decrease because you have to give a lot of discount to maintain that market share. Then second question, with social media becoming increasingly important and fewer people watching traditional commercial on television, what does Procter and Gamble need to maintain its strong brand images? So the question is very simple, that how Procter and Gamble should deal with the social media advertising campaign, or how it should deal with the social media, how they can utilize social media for their advertisement, for their sales. Marketing tactics using platforms like Facebook, Google. So they should recruit people who can best use marketing campaign on the Facebook, on the social media platform. Like we have Instagram, we have WhatsApp, we have a lot of different Twitter. So these social media platforms should be used for the marketing campaign, and they should develop, they should recruit people, and they should develop a lot of strategies, what to do, and they should utilize this opportunity. Then online shopping must be made easier. So through their website, through their e-commerce platform, they should start selling their product. Have team of people who are managing social media. Whenever there is discount, whenever there are offers, whenever there are new product launches, whenever there are any good initiative, that should go to all of the people through social media. Because today all the people are available only on the internet, only on the social media. Online platform should be manipulated. So they should learn on how to manipulate online platform to disseminate the information. So how information should pass, and that should be controlled. That should not be uncontrolled. Then extra incentives like coupons, buying points should be given, etc. through the social media. So how they can give coupons, how they can give various sales promotional things through social media. So there is SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis of Procter and Gamble. Large scale operations Yes, we know 135 billion sales, 300 brands, presence in 180 countries, having 480 crores customer base. They have very large scale operations. Strong branding. They have very good brand equity. They have very good brands in their portfolio. They have 300 brands. Some of their brands are billion-dollar brands, and some of their brands are that industry. They have leadership in that particular industry. Diverse brand portfolio, so they are not dependent on one particular category or one particular segment. They have hundreds of categories. Then customer loyalty. Yes, there are people who are very loyal to this Procter and Gamble brand because they are delivering. They have above average quality. That's why they are getting customer loyalty. These are the strengths of the Procter and Gamble. Now, weaknesses of the Procter and Gamble: beauty and health products are mostly for women, so they don't have beauty products for the men. Not does not divest its weak or poor brand. So now they have started consolidating, but having 300 brands, some brands will always perform good, some brand will always perform poor. So poor people, poor brands, they have to divest, they have to discontinue, they have to stop. Then opportunities, technological advancement. So as we discussed, they have a lot of different departments, so they can use advanced technology for the growth of the brand, for the growth of the sales, and to come to launch new products. Pursue growth overseas. Advanced technology can also be used for the marketing campaign, like social media we are using for the marketing campaign. That is also they have Procter and Gamble is having very good opportunity in technological advancement. Pursue growth overseas. So they have to now focus on the developing countries, poor countries to grow, because sales in the developed countries has been saturated. Double its environmental goals. So people should see Procter and Gamble as an eco-friendly product. So they should reduce pollution. They should use good eco-friendly raw material in their product, and they should communicate, advertise that. So they have opportunity to become a eco-friendly brand. Then acquisition, they have always had, they have opportunity to acquire profit-making brands. If they start acquiring profit-making brands, their balance sheet will improve, their finances will improve, financial position will strengthen. Then threats of the Procter and Gamble, many substitutes are available. Just we said Himalaya, Patanjali, HUL. There are many companies who are offering products in FMCG. Then cutthroat competition we have in FMCG sector. Competitors are making their products portfolio diverse. So HUL is also ITC, Dabur, Marico. Lot of companies are there who are also having same kind of products like Procter and Gamble, and they want to become like Procter and Gamble. So some of the competitors, major competitors of the Procter and Gamble are in India are Dabur, Unilever, L'Oreal, ITC, Marico, Patanjali, Himalaya, and you can search some more are also there. Then BCG analysis. If we say stars, you have Gillette, Pantene, Pamper as their star performers. Then the question mark is about Olay. Olay is, I think, it is very costly beauty product. That's why there are there is a lot of competition in beauty product segment. So there is uncertainty about the future of the Olay. Then Cash Cow, Ariel, Weeks, Tide, they are very old brand and they are very popular brand, and they are generating a lot of revenues. Even if we are not improving that particular product, or we are not launching any varieties or model. Ariel, Weeks, Tide, they are providing a lot of cash, lot of profit to the Procter and Gamble. Then dogs, in dogs, Vela, the new products which do not have growth, which have a lot of uncertainty, are kept in the dog. You can study all their brands, and you can categorize their brands in these four categories. Then Michael Porter's 5 forces model for Procter and Gamble. Buyer's force is low bargaining power because they have very superior quality. They have very good brand equity, and they have very good brand loyalty. That's why buyers, they don't have choice if they want very good superior quality at affordable price. So Procter and Gamble is only one choice. They have HUL, but the quality of the Procter and Gamble products are very good. Procter and Gamble is very trustworthy brand than HUL. So buyer have low bargaining power while purchasing Procter and Gamble products. Supplier is also having low bargaining power. A lot of suppliers are available, and being very popular brand, Procter and Gamble, many suppliers are ready to supply raw material to the Procter and Gamble. So they have operations worldwide, so they can get raw material from any country. So again, there is a low bargaining power for the supplier. Then potential entrance, new entry of the companies, organizations. Low as Procter and Gamble is market leader. So Procter and Gamble is very big company. If Procter and Gamble is generating $135 billion of sales, so new entrants, small companies will not compete with the Procter and Gamble. Then substitute, yes, moderate treat like from Patanjali. They have a good quality, and they are also selling their products at cheaper rate. They are locally manufacturing, so that gives substitute products for the Procter and Gamble. Then industry rivalry is high. The big competitor is HUL, ITC, Dabur, Unilever. then Patanjali. A lot of big brands are there to compete in Indian market. So there is a cutthroat competition, high competition in FMCG industry. If you see financial position of the Procter and Gamble, so we have some old figures, but even these old figures are impressive. In 2010, they were having net sales of $78 billion. They were having sales of $78 billion in 2010. Now in 2020, they have $135 billion sales, almost double. Almost double they have. So you can see the growth. In 10 years, they have almost double the sales of their products. And net earning is $12 billion. Net earning is almost $12 billion they are earning. And they are also giving a very good dividend. They are giving $1.80 per share. So they have achieved a lot of awards, ranked 2 among the top companies of the leaders according to the Fortune, ranked 6 among the global most admired companies Fortune, then ranked 3rd on the world's most respected companies list. Barron's ranked 12th among the world's most innovative companies. Bloomberg Businessweek recognized as one of the 40 best companies for the diversity, Black enterprise. So they have achieved a lot of awards recognition. But by the entry of technology companies like Tesla, like Apple, like Microsoft, these they are generating more profit because they are technology company. This is FMCG company, manufacturing company, so they cannot earn like technology companies. So they have some restriction. So now in Forbes list and Fortune list, they have decreased their ranking, but still they are a very significant player in the FMCG sector. Now, what are the pillars of the market leadership? What are the strategies they are using that we have studied in the case study? Long-term outlook, customer knowledge, product innovation, multi-brand strategy, brand extension strategy, aggressive sales force, quality strategy. This strategy we studied in our case study. These are the strategy on which they are working very hard to gain market leadership. What is the hidden secret of Procter & Gamble's success? Diversity. Brands are present in various, they have a very diverse portfolio, different products they have in different categories. Attractive campaigns, their marketing campaigns are very powerful. They are very attractive and they are very successful. Innovation, they are a very much innovative company. As we said, they are spending $2 billion every year. $2 billion every year is not a small amount. It's very big achievement. And they also have hundreds of thousands of employees who have PhD, who are scholars, who are innovators. Then consumer research, they are very good at surveys. They are very good at research. They are doing customer research. They are doing product research. They are doing market research. They are doing competitors research. A lot of research activities are going on. They have hundreds of projects, and they do spend $100 million on these customer project research. Then they are very good at advertising. You see a lot of advertisement on TVC. There was one more question that we missed. What risk do you feel that Procter & Gamble will face going forward? So what is the risk in the future for the Procter & Gamble? So cutthroat competition from the Nestle, ITC, Hindustan Lever and Hindustan Limited and Patanjali. So competition will always remain there in the FMCG sector. There is no option. Never they will have low competition. Competition will always there. Cutthroat level competition, very high competition they are going to face in the future also. Relative prices and performance from the unbranded local products. So some of the local products, they are performing very good. Like you say, you can think of some of the good products which are locally available. So local people will prefer local products. Risk of brand equity. So if some of their products fail, if some of their advertisement go wrong, some of their marketing campaign may go wrong. So there is a problem with the brand equity. Then legal barriers. Every organization, every country has some rules, regulation, and we have to follow. So if so they are present in 180 different countries, so they have to abide by the laws of that particular country. So they have to follow rules and regulation. If they are hiding their taxes, if they are not paying the taxes, then the strict action will be taken against them. Limited room for the expansion and growth. So FMCG category has become saturated. Even in India, we have a lot of different brands. All the products are available. So there is very little scope for innovation again. So it is saturated market FMCG. There is very little scope for the innovation. Vision statement and vision statement. We will provide branded products and services of superior quality and value that improve the lives of the world's customers now and for generations to come. So they want to provide superior quality product at affordable prices. They want to create value in the lives of the people. They want to increase the standard of living of the people. So very big mission they have. And vision, be recognized as the best consumer products and service company. So they want to become best consumer product company, best consumer service company. Over the period of time, they have also changed their mission and vision and values. So to provide branded products and services of superior quality and value that improve the lives of the world's consumers now and for generations to come. So they are doing a lot of they are doing some modification as the years are passing. Vision to be the best consumer products and service company in the world. Values are integrity, leadership, ownership, passion for winning, and trust. So how many different categories Procter and Gamble is there? So they are present in hair care category, skin and personal care category that belongs to beauty segment. Then they are into grooming like Gillette and all those grooming segment. Then they have oral care and personal health care that comes under healthcare division. Then a fabric care and home care segment is coming under fabric and home care segment. Then baby care and feminine care is coming under baby and feminine care division or the business unit SBU as we say. And family care again one more segment, it is under the family care and ventures SBU. Over the years, Procter and Gamble has grown. They have brand value of $21 billion. They have heritage of 170 years of business or customer service or product innovation. They have given 59 years consecutively dividend. They have given dividend since last 59 years. There is no year, there is no gap since last 60 years that they have not given the dividend. They have given continuously good dividend to their shareholders. They have products, they are selling their products more than 180 plus countries. They are manufacturing products in different countries, many countries, and they're also selling their products in more than 180 plus countries. And they have sales of 135 billion plus. So the objective of this case analysis was to deduce and learn the many and base marketing practices used by Procter and Gamble. So we learned a lot of different strategies of the Procter and Gamble. Customer knowledge, innovation, then multi-brand strategy, lot of different marketing strategies we have learned through this case. The second objective was to understand the marketing strategies, how to develop marketing innovation, how to apply it across different categories, how strategies changes with culture and geography. That was the second objective. Third objective was to analyze and suggest some improvements and understand some risk in the future development. So we also discussed the challenges faced by the Procter and Gamble. So how Procter and Gamble has improved. Earlier, they were facing a lot of issue. Established a foundation for professional research and development division in the company. So they were facing a lot of problems. Some of the products are getting failed. So they use trial and error methods for new products, and they got the success. Procter and Gamble took a scientific approach and connected research and development with the company's sales and marketing department. So that's how they have solved the problems of new product launch. Then 7 global business unit GBUs. Now we studied SBU standard. We have SBU in each and every organization, but they also have global business unit GBUs. They have 7 global units. So they are always they are one step ahead in the marketing, in the expansion in the globe. They have 7 global business units based on the product categories. Replace the company's 4 geographic business units. Procter and Gamble felt the GBUs would be help with the global product development and quick to market strategies. So if you want to develop a product very fast, if you want to launch your product very fast, if there is any requirement from one particular country regarding particular product, so all your companies, all your plants, all your factories will work on that, and they will they will launch the product very soon. So once once the company is launching particular new product, that company is getting first mover advantage, and that company is getting a lot of very good customer base, lot of customers that company is getting. Third is some development in expansion. Few roles which GBUs focus on. Business development team focus on innovating in existing categories. So if you are unable to launch new product, you try to improve your existing product. Venture team tasked with the acquiring brands in new areas, nurturing ideas created by the business development team that did not relate to existing brand. So whatever the categories which they are not presently present, that categories they have to expand by merger and acquisition. So don't waste time on launching products in different new categories which they are not present in. Just acquire a good profitable brand and you start selling your products in that particular brand. The next is market development organization that would perform intensive market research to ensure global products success in local markets. So you do a lot of research activities and that research activities you can use in different markets. Like you do research in China, you use that research in European market, US market, and Indian market. You do research in India and you use that conclusion, findings, observation in different markets. So there are a lot of things, there are a lot of marketing strategies. Social cause, whenever when there was a flood in Texas, so some of their employees, they were helping with the people who are affected by the Texas flood by cleaning their clothes. So Procter and Gamble's Tide Loads of Love team providing relief services by washing laundry for families impacted by the Texas flood. Then they are sponsoring various different sports. They are sponsoring various different competitions. Worldwide partner for the Olympics. Then ice hockey. Then USA Gymnastics. They are sponsoring NFL team. They are also very good advertisement campaign. They are also there are some of the advertisement campaign. They are also based on the emotional theme, like "Thank you, Mom." They are also using celebrity endorsement. They are also using social media. So Gillette reached 24 million users. Like 24 million is 2 crore 40 lakhs. 2 crore 40 lakhs people. Gillette reached with 22,000 subscribers by using YouTube advertising. They use YouTube advertising, YouTube marketing, and they reached 2 crore people, 2.5 crore people, and they had 22,000 subscribers. So there are a lot of things. Procter and Gamble, you cannot learn Procter and Gamble marketing strategy in just one lecture or in 1 hour. You will need a lot of time to spend to learn marketing strategies of the Procter and Gamble. But most of the strategies that which are very important from our perspective, our MBA perspective, we have learned in this case study. So